Welcome to Mysteries of Writing, where many topics are taken into deeper perspective. Today's episode will cover: does writing ever go as planned? Think about planning your writing as if you were sorting out your daily routine from the time you wake up all the way till you go to bed. With writing, it's very similar because you are planning out times in your day that you are going to dedicate doing that particular thing. And with writing, especially if you have a desire of publishing that piece of writing, you really want to dedicate a time in your day or throughout the week that writing is the number one thing you should do for that period of time. It really helps you navigate how your day might come into play. And without some sort of schedule, then you're just going like, just everything's just happening to you, and something might feel out of place because you just simply didn't have a schedule. But the essential question that we want to focus on is, does writing ever go as planned? So you know how there might be some road bumps hitting us in life? Those are some unexpected things that might happen to us. And that's life in general. And with writing, it's very similar. So there can be times that you can be stuck in writer's block, that you just don't know what to write, which I'm currently in. Anyways, being in writer's block is never fun. Let's be honest. And writer's block can take a period of time, like maybe a couple hours, a few days, weeks, months. But the point is what you're going to do about it. Writer's block can come at any time. It is not planned. It's not like, writer's block is going to come this Saturday. Oh yeah, I was right. No, writer's block can come at any time. And especially when you at least expect it, or when you're getting the most momentum in your writing and you're really at a constant pace that you really want it. However, it just feels like you're all of a sudden in this slump. Like your mind goes blank. And sometimes writer's block is there to stop us for a specific reason. That might be maybe we're spending way too much time with writing and we need to take a break. Or maybe we're just overwhelming ourselves of like, oh, I have to have this done by a certain day, or I have to have this in my story, that in my story. I just gotta put all those ingredients in my story in order to make it the best of the best. And if I want to publish, I had to have this and all that stuff. But also there could be circumstances that just happen in life. And it doesn't always have to be bad things. Maybe it can just be distractions of, oh, I really want to do something fun. And sorry writing, I had to put you on the back burner and save you for later. And that happens because that's life. And as human beings, we're going to get distracted. We are going to be sidetracked by something else. But we have to be capable of adjusting. So let's get into the actual writing part. So when you are writing a story, let's say this is a novel, okay? So you're writing this fantasy novel. You're outlining what you want in the story, what you want the characters to do, and everything that happens. You're just getting those small little details that you want in your book and all that stuff. So, after you outline this entire story for a period of time and you're ready to write the first draft, are you really going to use all those things that you originally outlined? Well, I'll tell you for a fact, not all of that's going to just fit in there. And how you're going to put it in the first chapter or whatever, unless you want your readers to be like, oh, this is the most boring book. This is the most boring book. I just want to throw it wherever. You should expect the unexpected. The way you picture the beginning at the beginning of the writing process might not be what you're going to put on that first page or in that first chapter. Maybe that part might be important for another time in the story, or maybe it's just unnecessary. Even though you planned ahead and like you want this in particular, doesn't mean it's just going to be in your story. Doesn't mean it's going to be in the final product. Started out writing your book. It's meant to be messy. It's going to have flaws and errors, maybe little typos. But if you can look past that and just write that first draft, write the story that you want to tell, it's going to come so much easier. When you make writing a commitment, you are pouring yourself into that craft to polish and see where you can improve it. Writing gives you that opportunity to look at your work, well, subjectively, because it's your own writing, but also strive to look at your writing objectively so that you can catch things in your writing that needs some work to do. While you're writing, things might happen, such as a new a new character comes into mind. You really want to add them into the story. And you're like, okay, I'm going to add this character somehow and make it fit in my story. But also be careful of what you might be putting in or taking out of your story. Because sometimes when you're writing, putting too much of something can just be too much. Or just having too little of something, you just like, I don't know how this is going to like work, or is it gonna make sense and flow. Sometimes you have to take some risk. And with writing, you're constantly experimenting with different story elements, ideas, and you're putting it on the page. Whether you have that story planned out or if it's just all coming to you and you're just putting it on the paper as fast as you can before you forget. You can plan however in advance you like. And you can have your story be plot driven or character driven, or have your story go wherever direction you want it to go. But keep in mind the story that you want to be told. I wanted to just give a little story like I do like every episode about my personal experience with writing. What makes the story I'm about to tell so relevant is that as being a young writer, like so many things has happened, like writer's block just coming unexpectedly. I was like starting out writing. Well, I didn't find my passion at writing until I started like kind of writing scripts of a story that came into my mind. I'll just call it MM for now. And I really liked the story. I knew its potential, and I was like, I had a vision for it. When I wrote the script, I was like, okay, I know what this person's going to say and all that stuff and what they're going to do. And whenever I translate it into book format, it was very different because I was like, okay, the plan is to go word for word based on this script. And I know all the scenes are going to be in there and all that. The characters are going to say the same words. I don't have to worry about anything. The story is complete. However, whenever I was writing it, it was a lot more difficult than I thought. Because I had, well, the first few pages, it was kind of like a prologue, and this was my first draft. Um, it was not as easy because that wasn't in my script. I had like a little summary, but I couldn't just put that little summary in the book. And I was like, let's put some to it. So I write this scene, like character is, let's see, they're going to this university, they find this person, and then they suddenly leave. And then jump forward to like how like the where the villain comes into play and all. Just so you know, it does not make sense. But the point is, it wasn't originally planned. My plan was to completely write it based on the script, but I just had to add a few things to make it somewhat make sense. And as I was writing the story beat by beat based on the script, it was going pretty good. It was really easy. I was going. I was writing like about twice a week, usually on the weekends. Wednesdays are my worst days of writing, fun fact. But whenever I do have time to write, I would just keep on going. And it was amazing. I had so much momentum. I was like I was like the happiest person alive. But when whenever I came to this scene about um it was the transformation scene actually. I wasn't entirely sure about like what ingredients do I need in order for this to work. So I had to sidetrack and do some research, like just a little bit of research. Though I hate research, I was like, okay, ingredients of this. And I got my answer and then I went back and all that stuff. Okay, here's the second thing. I did not plan to research in the middle of my book. And technically, you shouldn't do that. And you should already have that done in the beginning, way before you start writing. But I'm a plotter and a pantser, but I have more pantser in me. So, and okay, plotters, they plot everything, they know everything in advance before they write. And a pantser, they just write what is on their mind. Okay, so yeah, I was not planning to research in the middle of my book, and that's technically a red flag. So don't try researching in the middle of the book, because you want to get as much of the book as you can in a reasonable amount of time. And what I'm currently struggling with, my first novel, time. Back to the story about this novella. Okay, MM. So whenever I got to the battle scene, I was stuck. I was stuck on the battle scene. I knew what a battle scene was. Don't get me wrong. I watched so many movies that had battle scenes, and they were either done really well or done really poorly. And for me, I have never written a battle scene. So what do you think I'm gonna write in words? Within words, pages, or maybe a few chapters. And I had to stop and research again, and I was sidetracking again. Not only about a battle scene, I was like, oh, let's get some key words and what words I should use and what not to use. And I used a couple of days just researching about different things that goes in a story. Though it was very interesting and I was really liking it, I was also distracting myself. And like I said, it wasn't planned. And things just don't go as planned. And when you get stuck in the middle of your story or wherever in the story that you're stuck in, it really sucks if it's the end. But whew, it just throws you off course where you almost don't even focus on the thing that you were you were on. And and for me, and writing my first ever book, that was a hurdle that I had to jump over. Like literally, I did. Because I was distracting myself so much with this fun little writing exercises, not writing exercises, but writing advice that I wasn't focusing too much on that battle scene. And once I figured it out, I was writing it and all that stuff. And then, the story just clicked. And I was getting to the conclusion, and I was like, thank goodness. Because I was like, I can't wait to get to the ending. And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I was able to finish the story March 29th of 2022. And of course, I was revising and editing the story. But let's just say that's not easy. And that's a whole entire different story for another episode or another video in the future. But whenever you're writing, it's going to get messy, it's going to get chaotic. And it's how you It's how you handle it. And you have to be willing to make some adjustments. And this can be with time or different parts of the story. Opening yourself to adjustments and just some self reflection will help you cool your mind and get yourself back into focus so you can write the story that you want to tell. So, what to take away from this episode? Number one, things are going to happen. Life is a roller coaster full of highs and lows. And really, it's what you make of it. And are you willing to make those adjustments? Number two, in the writing process, well, it's very similar to life. Sometimes there might be things in your story that might not make sense, or it's I'm stuck on this writer's block, and it can take you away from that main story, but it's how you push through it. Even if it takes longer than you expect it to, just trust the process and make sure you get back into writing as well. And number three, expect the unexpected. If we expect everything to happen to us, how are we going to experience things and actually learn from it? Because when we don't expect something, it's comes as a surprise, and we're like, oh my gosh, that gives you a sense of coming back down to earth. And maybe with that unexpected thing, you can learn something. What this episode is ultimately focusing on is the learning experience. Because we're always learning something, we're always doing something new. But it's how we make of it, and are we willing to make some adjustments?